It's Monday, June 12, 2023, about 12:30. We're just about ready to push off the dock on board our Allied Princess 36 Seaquestor for the first time this season. Weather's been kind of crappy up until now, but it's not supposed to rain today. It's light air, so it shouldn't stress my knee too much, and hopefully we'll have a nice couple of hours out. Not planning to go out for much more than that because I don't want to overdo it on my leg. So I'm going to fire up the engine and we're going to get somebody to come down and help us with the lines because I am currently not very quick at moving on and off the boat. Well, we're off the dock and underway. As you can see, we're under power because, as you can see, there's essentially no wind. Right now I'd say that we're looking at about maybe a knot. It looks like it'll pick up when we get out of the Great Harbor. So I'll wait to unroll the Genoa until we're out there. Got the mizzen up. And the wind is starting to pick up a little, but right in here, it's pretty much on the nose. Yep, we're motoring at 3.8 knots. So this is just the first time underway since launch day, so we probably aren't going to do much aggressive sailing. It's just the idea of getting the boat out. It's very hazy today. If you look ahead, you can see visibility is okay, but it is definitely hazy, especially if you look over toward Little Cranberry. Well, we're nearing the entrance to Southwest Harbor. It looks like there might be a little wind further out. Coast Guard buoy tender coming in. And over here, we have the charter friendship sloop Alice E. heading in with a load of tourists. And hopefully we'll get enough wind to sail when we get out here a little further. Okay, we're under sail, going at not a particularly fast 4 knots. And then to roll the whole sail out. We're headed almost straight east right now, and this is Greening Island right here. And the Western Way over there. A lot more wind here than up harbor. Essentially no wind up harbor and a good breeze out here. Well, it's definitely more than the 5 to 8 knots from the southwest that was forecast. We're currently, I don't know if you can see it down there, making 5.4 knots. As we head east, and we're on a close reach right now. She'd jib in a little bit more. There we go. That looks a little better. We're going to head east. We're only going out for a couple of hours because I don't want to overstress my shiny new knee. This is the east end of Greening Island that we're passing right now. And over there in the distance, the island with the white building on it is Bear Island. And the white building is the Bear Island Lighthouse, so we can sail over that way. Well, here's the Nun buoy at the southeast end of Greening. There is the end of Greening. So, if you pass this buoy, I'm going to fall off a little and head toward Bear Island. And we'll see how she's going to do. Trying to optimize sail trim or anything today. I'm just getting used to boat motion, seeing how things go. Not much traffic out here today. There's one boat. Yeah, there's another one ahead. 2 boats out here. So pretty quiet. These are probably both lobster. Well, that ahead I think is a lobster boat coming in, and this looks like somebody who's running back over to Southwest Harbor from the Cranberries. The closer island right there is Sutton, then Little Cranberry, and Great Cranberry in the haze. Well, what I thought might be a lobster boat coming in is actually a Hinckley jet boat. Probably the Hinckley company is doing a test run before they turn it over to the owners. So we'll be the last boat for a while out here. Pretty quiet. And the breeze, it was probably around 70 at the marina and muggy. I was getting a little sweaty. But now, temperatures certainly in the low 50s because the water is still pretty cold. How warm did you say it was? 12 degrees, okay. It's about 54 degrees Fahrenheit here, 12 degrees Celsius. So, sail in the haze out here, where we almost have the great harbor here of Mount Desert Island to ourselves as we look back at Greening Island. Here we are approaching Bear Island. Let me fall off a little. And you can see the lighthouse up there. We're going to come a bit closer, then we're going to tack. So I'll be able to look over the port side and see the Bear Island light. Well, we just made our first tack of the year, and my balance is not so great. There's a nice view of Bear Island Lighthouse as we're heading back toward the Southwest Harbor. Well, we tacked and we're headed back a little bit south of west toward Greening Island there. We're going to tack again when we get up here just a little bit further and head over toward the Cranberries, which I think we can do when we get up here another half mile or so. So there is the passage to go up some sound over there. I don't think we'll go over there today. I expect there to be very little wind over there. And the stern, the entrance to Northeast Harbor, and Bear Island. Well, just made the second tack of 2023 and we're headed southeast now toward the Cranberry Islands. That's Great Cranberry, and in the distance Little Cranberry and Sutton Island, which is also part of the Cranberry Islands town. And if we look south out the western way, we can see nothing because I think the haze turns into fog out there. Well, the wind has dropped off. We're down to 2.5 knots, even though I unrolled more of the Genoa. And we're headed 120 degrees. So a little bit south of east. We're going to pass along the south side of Sutton Island if we continue on this tack for very far. And we'll take a look at the masthead, and we can't really point up much higher. The Windex up there shows us that we're about as high as we can get, and the telltales on the jib are kind of giving the same information. So I'll just keep going for a little while at a blazing 2.5 knots and have a bit of a look at the Cranberry Islands. Now we're continuing southeast toward the Cranberries. There's Sutton again. It's not the prettiest day out here today, pretty hazy, but it's supposed to rain pretty good tomorrow and then rain pretty much every day for the next week. So this was kind of our chance. We could have come out yesterday. It was a much prettier day, but I didn't know if I wanted to trust my leg when it was considerably more windy yesterday. That's looking west towards Southwest Harbor, and south out the Western Way toward the Duck Islands, which you can't see, and Long Island, where the village of Frenchboro is located, which you also can't see today. I think we're going to get over here and tack one more time, and then head back into Southwest Harbor, because I think my knee will have had enough sailing by then, because this puts loads on my leg in all sorts of different directions. Every time the boat hits a wave, the loading on the leg changes, and you know, it just no point in overdoing it. There's a little pleasure boat towing a dinghy over there, and it looks like a lobster boat in the distance off the north side of Sutton. And I hear a small go-fast boat astern that just came out of Northeast Harbor over there. Okay, we'll continue for another 10-15 minutes and then head back. Now the wind has dropped off to almost nothing. We're down to 1.6 knots. There's Sutton Island. Great Cranberry Harbor over there. It only looks like there are about 3 or 4 boats. It's pretty quiet over there yet, and not much else, and it's really flattening out. So I think that we're going to turn around and head back to Southwest Harbor, because it looks like we're going to sail into no wind up here when we get in a wind shadow of Great Cranberry Island. Blazing along at 1.6 knots. Pretty light air sailing today. That's what we expected, though. So I'm going to tack around and we'll come back. Well, we may have waited a little too long to tack. As you can see, it's not what I would call super windy out here. I don't think we need to reef. Boat speed is down to 1.1 knots. And not even enough wind really to keep the Genoa full. So we'll go for a little bit, and then we're probably gonna furl up the sails and motor back, because this isn't what I would call super fast and stimulating sailing, which I guess is okay for my first sail on my new knee. Okay, so a last look over there at Northeast Harbor, Bear Island with its lighthouse, Sutton Island, Little Cranberry Island, and Great Cranberry Island, as we're essentially becalmed out here. Well, I guess you could call this quiet and peaceful. There's the crew. And there looks like there might be a bit of a breeze further south. And we've got a boat passing astern of us, but basically almost no wind here. And we're just kind of bobbing around. How fast are we going?
Like 7.
So basically, right now we have no wind. We have to decide if we're just going to wait it out, or if we're going to furl up and motor back in. Actually, it looks like there's a little wind coming. The ripples over there appear to be getting closer, so maybe we'll have some wind in another 4 or 5 minutes. We'll see.
Oh, so the sun's coming out.
Yeah, it's getting a little warmer. It's.
But we're going 0.4.
Oh, we're blazing along. We're just sitting here right now. And we'll see what happens. See if this is actual wind that's coming toward us. On days like this, you see some ripples on the water, like you see where the water looks a little darker over there. That's where there are wind ripples. And they are getting closer. There could be 4, maybe 5 knots of wind. Let's see what happens. the wind, such as it is, the Windex says it's on the port beam. The sail, on the other hand, says it's on the starboard side. So we'll have to see.
Raymarine says it's 0.1.
And we're basically stopped right now, and we'll just have to see what happens when this little tiny bit of wind gets here.
Oh.
One thing that often happens here on a calm day like this is that the wet sun there is warms the land of Mount Desert Island, and air starts to rise over there, and that gradually creates a little bit of what we call sea breeze, and that may be what is happening right now, that we're just starting to pick up a tiny hint of sea breeze. Yes, right now we're just bobbing around, but the ripples are getting closer. They're only about 100 yards away, and I got the helm pretty much hard over to port, and it's not doing much. The boat really isn't turning. We're just sitting here. But hopefully when this little tiny breeze over here gets here, I can start to feel it and see if we're actually going to be able to sail. Either the Windex is stuck pointing straight to port, or that's where the wind at the masthead is. Okay, I got my helm hard to port, and the boat is maybe starting to turn a tiny bit to port. As this mighty squall approaches us. But we do get some of this kind of sailing here in the great harbor of Mount Desert Island in the summer. Often if sea breeze does kick in, it will initially cancel out what wind there is and then gradually pick up. So you'll go from a nice light breeze to nothing, and then back to a little bit more breeze. But that is not getting a lot closer to us. We'll just have to see what happens. Well, we're back into the wind. What are we up to now?
1.4.
1.4 knots. We're flying. At this rate, we'll be back at the mooring at the marina in about an hour and a half. And we're probably going to hit 2 knots pretty soon because we're at the wind line.
We did hit 2 knots.
Wow. And looks like we got a little schooner coming out. I believe that's the Ambergris, which takes people out for day sails. On the starboard bow, as we are flying now, closing in on 3 knots after being down to about 0.2, which basically meant we were just sitting there. Well, bye-bye to the Cranberry Islands. We never got there today. But I think I'm going to head back and get let my knee be rehabilitated once we get back onto the dock. Well, we're up to 4.5 knots as we sail past the schooner Ambergris, which is a local boat, and you can book a day sail on it with Captain Patrick. There he goes. headed back in now. Been out for about an hour and a half. That's about what I wanted to try this first time. The boat's handling it just fine, and the wind has picked up. We were at 5.7 a little bit ago, now 5.4, and we're moving right along as we head back into Southwest Harbor on a beam reach. So the wind is pretty much south. As we get in here, the wind will do one of two things. It will either drop to practically nothing, or it will swing more into the west and pick up. That's normally what we get as we are sailing back in. Here's the east end of Greening Island again. Okay, not much of a sail today, but this was a sort of shakedown sail for the boat. Make sure everything's working right, which it is, and a shakedown sail for my new knee to make sure it's working right. And yeah, I can definitely, you probably can't see it in the image, but there is a fog bank out past the Cranberries. There's a couple boats, the Ambergris on the left and the Alice E on the right, headed toward the Cranberries. For those of you who haven't seen one of my sailing videos before, you may wonder where my mainsail is. See, I've got a mizzen sail and a Genoa, but you notice there's no mainsail on the mainmast there. And that is a conscious choice. As I've gotten older, I'm less agile, and particularly now with the new knee. But I set the boat up this way because I can do all my sail controls are led aft, and I can sail the boat without ever leaving the cockpit. The only time I left the cockpit on this trip was to run the bow line for mooring aft to just forward of the midships cleat, so that I'll be able to get a hold of it easily when we bring the boat into the dock. But the point of this is basically the Genoa, the furling line is led aft to that little Anderson 12 winch right there. Sheets are here at these Anderson 40 electric winches, and all the controls for the mizzen are right here in the cockpit. So I can sail the boat without leaving the cockpit, even in the roughest conditions, which makes it very much safer than having an old geezer running around on deck trying to drop the main. I thought about putting a furling boom on for the main, but when I priced that out, it was going to cost about 20 grand, and it just didn't seem worth it. And given the type of boat this is, when I contacted the rigging company that would have to do it locally, they basically thought I was joking and wouldn't even come back to me. So that was a bit of an issue, and it's not something you can set up yourself. They won't sell it to you. You have to go through the rigging company. So I didn't do it. So anyway, we're headed back into Southwest Harbor. We get up here to the end of the mooring field. What we'll do is start the engine, and we'll furl up the sails, and then we're going to head back to the marina. And as I thought, the wind is dropping off. We were up to 5.7 knots, and now we haven't changed point of sail, and we're down to 3.4. So there's probably going to be very little wind as we get up to the marina at the west end of Southwest Harbor. Well, we made it back after our first sail of 2023. The boat worked fine. It was a sort of typical sail for the Great Harbor. We went from a peak speed of 5.9 knots, and I never completely unrolled the jib, down to a boat speed of essentially 0 as the wind came and went. When we got back into the dock, there was basically no wind, but Once I got everything put away, a little breeze came up, and it's quite pleasant here, sitting in the cockpit. Just give you the view. So this is the view looking astern to the west from our slip at the Great Harbor Marina here in Southwest Harbor. And there's the crew. Smile. Uh-oh. So, here we are, back aboard Seaquestor after our first sail of the 2023 season. We didn't go very far. We just sailed for about an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes, and then came back, largely because I didn't want to stress my new knee. I basically trying to find out if it works, and it does work. The only issue I had was a little bit of balance problems, but that wasn't too bad. I managed not to fall down. So hopefully we'll get a lot more sailing in this season. Anyway, hope you enjoyed a somewhat hazy sail here on the Great Harbor of Mount Desert Island, Maine, on the 12th of June 2023. Thanks for watching.